All right, guys, welcome back. Another day, another dollar, and another problem. So, as you see, our top floor today is almost fully insulated on the one side. I still have a little bit of a couple small pieces up top that need to get done. I've been kind of waiting to do that because the foam board adhesive, basically, once you open a tube, you can't really, save it. So I don't want to use like a small amount of a tube and then end up wasting it. I mean, these aren't super expensive, but they add up. These are around $5 a tube. The foam sheets, on the other hand, are I think around $35 a sheet. So, sorry. It is pretty early today because I have been working graveyard shift for the last 6 weeks. So I've been working anywhere between midnight to 10 to 4 a.m. to 1. So it's been rough. So I try to get some time in every day after work if I can. Economy's been rough, so it's just what you got to do to keep on going. Anywho, roofing guy is supposed to come in November. It is currently October. I do not know. Actually, no, it is November. It's November 4th, 5th. Yesterday was election day. It was November 5th. So they're supposed to come at the end of the month. I don't know how accurate that's going to be because he said originally end of October. Now it's end of November. Hasn't even done a consultation yet of what I want to get done. So I don't know because I have to pull permits too to do this stuff. So I can't just willy-nilly have him come in and build it. So I'm not really quite sure. The roof has been cleaned off. I haven't coated it yet because it's been kind of cold. I do need to coat the porch roof because that should be pretty straightforward afternoon job. But once again, it's cold and I do need multiple people for that. And because of the work schedule, basically, once I get out of work, I'm here maybe for a couple hours. And then by the time my friends get off work, I need to be in bed. So it's the time constraint is bad, and I do need 2 people to kind of help with cleaning and coating that roof, just in case I fall off and snap my spine in half. So what is going on here? So this wall needs to get framed out. Downstairs is not completed yet, and the reason downstairs wasn't completed yet, as I mentioned in a prior video, is that the entire wall itself, the assembly itself, I had the sheets on the bottom first. So the actual total height of the insulation is approximately maybe 11 feet or 10 feet and a half. So each sheet is 8 feet tall. So there's 2.5 feet that needs to be accounted for. And it was easier to just put the 8-foot sheets on the bottom upright all the way down. And then I had to fill up the top portion. I thought I was going to be able to slide a sheet sideways in, but it's not. The joist doesn't allow that. So this one, as you may have seen in a previous video, I put the large sheet straight sliding up. That way there wasn't any sliding action that needed to go in. And once that was done, then I put the other ones orthogonal to that, so we'd minimize the gaps in between. So in theory, this one is better. However you like to slice it, it's going to be way better than before, which was literally just block wall. I would be lying if I told you I feel a difference already, because I really don't. Because the wall behind me isn't insulated, that wall isn't insulated, that wall isn't insulated, the roof isn't insulated. So just having the one wall really doesn't make too big of a difference. But as we slowly chug along here and we get the windows replaced, the rest of that done, we will start feeling a difference overall in the assembly and the heat and cold of the building. So I think the real question for me is, do I try to finish out this wall first, then move back downstairs? Or do I try to finish downstairs and then move back up here? I think the answer for me probably is to try to do this first, just because, number one, this is going to go way faster, just because there's less crap in the way, there's less stuff that I need to move around. And then basically once this is all done, I'm going to have all the offcut pieces I need to kind of piece together everything up there. So that way, both these side walls will be done. And then we have the wall behind us here. This wall still needs to be done. I mean, radiators are already removed. Also, one of the big things is I have these cabinets and this TV that need to be moved, which is kind of heavy for one person to move. And then this side needs to be thicker. This is also like a area that I kind of like want to think about a little bit more, because this is an exterior wall. And because this is an exterior wall, this mini split, they just drill a hole straight through the wall, which is normal. That's not like anything different. But essentially, if I pop this mini split out, there's going to be a massive hole there that I need to fill. And they didn't plug it with anything. There's no insulation. There's no foam. There's no cap on the outside. So literally, wind is just going to drive right through that. So that's why I haven't touched that yet. This is wiring that goes from downstairs upstairs. So that has to actually be rerouted somehow. Also, probably not a huge issue. It's just that there's a lot of stuff downstairs right here. So right in this corner is that table with all that stuff. And there's a pipe down here too that needs to get cut. Same thing on that side. So that drop ceiling needs to get cut open, and that pipe needs to get cut out for this wall to even get started. Then the next thing is, I'm not sure if you can see, but that big hump there in the wall here is where all the pre-existing mini split like copper lines go through. So the holes have been drilled there, the power goes through there, everything goes through there. So if, let's say, we don't put that condensing unit back on that breezeway roof, which I highly, highly recommend not having it on there, just because it's harder to access, it's harder to service being in that location. And on top of that, every time that roof needs to be repaired, or if it needs to be replaced or leaks, you're going to have to move that entire unit, which requires power lines, copper lines, everything. And those things are heavy. So I'd have to somehow get it up there and get it down there. So I'm thinking of eliminating this completely. And if we eliminate this thing completely, then in theory, we could just remove this entire the hump. All this stuff can get removed. We'll just put regular insulation down, build it out, and should be okay. The only downside here is I do have major holes that I have to fill. A thought might have been I could put like a pellet stove that uses a direct electric blower, so it doesn't need a flute that goes up through the roof as supplementary heat, because this building doesn't have a gas connection. The other one does. So I'd either have to run a forced air furnace here, which would cost a ton of money, and then run a gas line from the other side over, which would also probably not be great. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of regulations involved in that as well. Or I could just run a pellet stove, which would require drilling a 3-inch hole through the wall and just having, there's a blower fan that just blows everything out. The downside of that is I'm going to have another hole in the wall, and that pellet stove is going to exhaust right over the breezeway roof. So in case anything, I mean, I'm sure there's a spark arrestor, but in case anything goes bad, it's going to land on that roof, which isn't ideal in my opinion. Like if it was blowing on to like concrete or something, might be okay. I don't know. If one of you guys know, feel free to leave a comment and let me know. 2, I already have a hole here, so maybe I could reuse that hole, and that hole is pretty large. So moving the AC, the outdoor unit of the mini split system to the other side, the only real big downside is copper is really expensive, and it's a over 100-foot run. So what that means is I need to buy a over 100-foot run of copper wire to run the power to that. And then all the copper tubing here is no longer useful. So it's not like I can, reuse the existing copper lines. That was a consideration because it's the cheaper option, but they are really corroded. They're probably 30, 40, maybe, I don't know, probably not 40 years old, but maybe 30 years old. I think a lot of the markings were from the 90s. So the copper's pretty corroded. It's from the 90s. It probably uses, oh no, it did use R134A. So it was not using R12 at least. So I am going to have to buy brand new copper wiring or tubing for the mini split systems. They did not come with any. So in that light, I think the grand scheme of things is we need to finish this wall, which I have wood. I'm bringing it. And I will kind of explain. Downstairs, what I did was I used treated wood as the bottom plate, and then regular wood on top of that. In this scenario here, I will not be using treated wood on the bottom. I mean, you could. That's not a problem. I won't be using it because there's no moisture issue here. So the first floor is actually built right on a slab. Well, there is a footing. It's just that the main floor is on top of a dirt, essentially. It's a slab. So because of that, you will have moisture wicking through the concrete, which you don't want to come in contact with the wood because it'll rot. This, on the other hand, even though it is concrete, it's floating. So there's expansion gap all the way around between this and the wall. So it's actually not physically touching the wall. And then there's steel joists, bar joists that go across. And then there's corrugated steel. And then the concrete's poured on top of that. And there's rebar in this. So essentially, this concrete floor is floating between two levels. And because of that, the humidity is going to be the same as whatever the humidity in the air is. So it's not going to be overly humid compared to the rest of the floor, the building, whatever it may be. So we're not going to experience a humidity issue. I can put a sill plate seal, so it's just like a small piece of foam that goes between the wood and the concrete, if that's necessary. They're very cheap. I think the only reason really to do that is just for kind of peace of mind in case like someone spills a bunch of water on the ground and it seeps up into the wood, which also isn't a huge concern unless there's thousands of gallons of water, because even a little bit of moisture going into the wood, it'll eventually evaporate out. That's not a huge deal. And also, once again, all of these foam panels are taped together, sealed, and I've left about 2-inch gap at the top. And the 2-inch gap is not because of shoddy work. It's intentional. So whenever you have a change between temperatures, and you'll notice this on a Coke can, on your windshield, and now when it's hot outside or cold outside, you're gonna get condensation buildup, especially if it's humid. So you just don't want condensation to build up between the foam and the wall because they painted this wall. Part of this wall is not painted. So the bottom of the wall, see, is not painted. So that should be porous. So a little bit of moisture and air should be able to move through that. It's just that the painted areas, there's no permeability. So because of that, I intentionally, if you see me put the glue down, the glue is all up and down. Like not a lot. If there is a lot going across, it's only under the windows. And then there's going to be gaps on both sides. So there's not glue, completely breaking off the airflow. So that will allow air to move through the wall in small amounts, of course, not like a huge amount. It will allow air and moisture to move through the wall. And then at the very top, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put rock wool, just thin strips of rock wool. Rock wool is a stone-based insulation. It doesn't rot. It doesn't compress. It's not afraid of water, and it's not afraid of pests. Pests don't like it. It's basically rocks that have been vulcanized and then blown into a cotton candy-like texture. So the whole purpose of that is it is vapor permeable, so moisture can come through it. So in case any moisture does get trapped behind there, which likelihood is, I'm not going to say it's zero because, you never know. If moisture does get trapped in there, it does have a way to make its way out. And that way you won't have mold buildup behind the insulation. So basically, I think today is prep. So some of the top I sprayed, large gap foam. So I'm going to essentially cut those flush. Then I'm going to tape all the seams. And then this area requires 2 8-inch sections at the top. But the funny part about that situation is actually it's above the joist. So even if I put the wall up, I still have access to that area afterwards. So it doesn't necessarily need to be done right this moment. There's one corner at the bottom there that needs to be done right now because that that is required for the wall to go up. But also that's at the very end. So like I could start technically building this wall and then, you know, moving all the way to the end and then doing that. But I think I'm just going to do that all together, get all the foam blown in, and hopefully start the wall. I did go out and buy more wood. I do not know if it's enough. I don't think I have enough actual studs. So, because they ran out of 92s for some reason, and that's my life. So I think I'm short about 16 92s. So that 16, it's about 6 studs per wall. This is 42 inches. They're 8-inch sections. So 32 would be 4, 5 would be 40. So it's like 42. So it's going to be 6 in total. So, but let's just say 5. So 5 times 6, that's 30. So I need 30 studs, and I have 20. So I, at minimum, need another 10 studs, which I could probably go out and get today. But I'm going to cut this up, and we'll go.